I have a message from the Village Jedi.
Max Rebo, hit it! Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Village Jedi podcast. If you're new here, my name is Marina, and as the Village Jedi, I'm happy to have you here. My podcast focuses on what I admire about Star Wars, including characters, writing, and world building. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. However you found me, I don't care. I'm just glad that you are ready to talk about something that we all know and love, which is Star Wars. As of this morning, we have 57 followers over on the Substack, which is exciting. If you're interested in joining the discussion, feel free to follow us there over at the Village Jedi Podcast or Markybr, all one word, MARKYBR. Like I said, on Substack. Or if you want to join the discussion another way, you can send us an email at tvjpod@gmail.com or read it on the podcast. Or tell a fellow nerd. That's the easiest way to spread that you are listening to an awesome podcast about something that you love. Tell a friend, tell a nerd, get them over here, and let's all just enjoy Star Wars together. I know that it's been a couple weeks. As we all know, when it comes to starting something new, there can be a bit of a learning curve. So I was here 2 Fridays ago. I was not here last Friday, but I'm here this Friday. So let's focus on the positive instead of the negative. And with all that said, I have a lot to yap about. So let's go. You guys, I am so excited for this episode. I just can't even see straight. My pen was going a million miles a minute while I was writing this all out in my podcast notebook where I keep all my show notes. I also post an outline of those show notes every episode over on the Substack if you're interested in checking that out. Maybe following along like an outline while we go over this information together. But this week we're going to talk about opening the archives on the Prequel Trilogy rewatch. And when you're going to do your Prequel Trilogy rewatch after you listen to this episode, because we all know we're all going to, run back to the prequels once we learn something new to look for. I wanted to focus on 10 potential missed moments from the prequels. Not missed in the sense of like you've never seen these before, because we've all watched these movies. Some of us grew up on them. We've seen them a lot, but more so moments that just aren't discussed near as much, even though they could be considered pivotal plot moments or just really interesting and beautiful in general. These are in no particular order. The order I chose was I was thinking about The Phantom Menace first, obviously, then Attack of the Clones, then Revenge of the Sith. So there's top 10, and by not in order, I mean like number 1 is not as cool as number 10. Like it's not like a countdown. It's just here's 10 moments that maybe either you haven't thought about in a long time, you've never thought about, or you might want to think about some more because it's cool and needs to be talked about more, needs to be discussed more. Yikes, I am yapping. Okay, so number 1, the fall of Chancellor Valorum. Okay, this happens in The Phantom Menace. This really was the beginning of the end. The Naboo were invaded by the Trade Federation, and basically Padme went to Coruscant and was like, Chancellor Valorum, you and your Senate need to help me out. Like, what are we going to do here? And Chancellor Valorum was dilly-dallying, and, Palpatine, being the senator of Naboo, was whispering in Padme's ear, and he's like, girl, I could take care of this for you. Like, this guy is not doing his job right. We need to rally the troops together and, get this guy out of office. And Padme was like, slay, let's do it. So the fall of Chancellor Valorum, I feel like, needs to be discussed more. Like, one bad thing happened to one of the planets. This is how we meet him. He is the Chancellor of the Senate. He speaks for, and really he's kind of like a chair of the meeting. Like that's what some of the Padme books that I just finished reading were talking about, is more so that the Chancellor's job is to keep things moving. He approves certain talking points. He moves the council to vote. Like he's not there. He's not like the king of the galaxy. That's what an empire is. But I just think it's interesting that we don't really talk about that very much. Him being kicked out of office and Chancellor Palpatine being given these emergency powers to kind of temporarily get the Senate back under control since Chancellor Valorum is not doing a very good job. That is a pivotal moment. That's the beginning of the fall of the Jedi Order. Really, like Palpatine, his plan starts to go into effect once this starts. Once Chancellor Valorum gets kicked out, he can get his plan underway. So when I rewatched The Phantom Menace, that moment jumped out to me in significance because I was like, wow, I haven't even really thought about how important that moment was. That was a missed moment for me. Number 2, Anakin not saying a proper goodbye to Padme. Because in that scene, he was actually speaking to Sabe, who is the queen's decoy. And if you're more interested in reading about those stories, I would highly recommend the most recent Padme trilogy that I just mentioned that has been written by E.K. Johnston. Very, very informative. It makes the prequels that much more enriching. I actually just read those books and rewatched the prequels, so that's kind of why this episode idea came to me. But basically, back on track, Anakin goes in to talk to the queen. He's like, peace out. I'm about to go become a Jedi. I just wanted to say goodbye to my friend Padme because I think she's really cute and she's my friend. And Sabe comes out as the queen and she's like, yeah, I sent Padme on an errand. What do you want to say? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to say goodbye to her. And she was like, I'll make sure to tell her that you said that. Later, we see them, obviously, at the Liberation Ceremony celebration, but their on-screen final goodbye, he did not say to Padme. He didn't get to do that. And I think that's a pretty significant moment, too. It makes their on-screen reunion in Attack of the Clones 10 years later that much more exciting because you're like, wow, not only have they not seen each other in 10 years, but he didn't even get to give her a proper goodbye. And thinking about that final scene with the Liberation Ceremony celebration, in that final scene, Padme is dressed in white and she looks like an angel, honestly, which I think is kind of poetic because his final memory of Padme before he goes off to train as a Jedi is connected to his first memory of Padme, where he asks her if she's an angel. So that's something just kind of interesting that I picked up on that I thought could make it in as an honorable mention to this top 10 missed moments from the prequels. Number 3, oh my goodness, you guys, this one is just so good. Like when I rewatched The Phantom Menace, I was like, how did I miss this? This is just too good. You can sense the excitement in my voice. Number 3, when they're at Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral on Naboo, there's this shot, and little Anakin is standing next to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is standing next to Padme, and Padme is standing next to Palpatine. But the way that the shot is framed, you see that the only thing standing between Palpatine and Anakin is Obi-Wan and Padme. Oh my word. It's so good. It's so good. The symbolism, the cinematography, you're just like, yo, like the way they set up different things like that in this movie as foreshadowing. Oh, it's just so good. So I had to write that one down. That was a missed moment for me for sure. I had a greater appreciation when I saw that scene framed in that way. Number 4, also from The Phantom Menace, was the fact that the Sith were being reintroduced into the Jedi Council's way of life. They say that it has been more than a millennium since they saw the Sith, which is approximately 1,000 years. The Battle of Naboo was basically when the Sith chose to reveal themselves. They had been working underground in secret for that past 1,000 years. Some of these Jedi, excluding Yoda, had never even heard of the Sith, had no recollection of a Sith. They read about them in the Jedi archives, but they had never even seen a red lightsaber. So those first moments when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have dealings with Maul, they're like, that is a pivotal moment. Like, the significance of the Sith finally revealing themselves to the Jedi Order. Hey, we exist. Hey, we're here. Hey, we're still thriving. I just thought was also a missed moment that's very significant too. That first time they see a red lightsaber, do you know how many years, hundreds of years it has been since one of the Jedi saw a red lightsaber? Crazy. Okay, number 5. Now we're moving into Attack of the Clones. was the fact that the clone army was discovered by Obi-Wan, and then they found out that the clones were based off of a Mandalorian bounty hunter. Like, not a good dude, but their whole army, the Republic's army that was then going to be led by Jedi generals, they were going to be working pretty hand in hand, were clones of a criminal, basically. Like, yeah, I know bounty hunters, they have morally gray consciences. Like, you think about, like, Din Djarin. Din Djarin's a bounty hunter, but he's not, like, a criminal. But look at, like, Cad Bane. I would consider that guy a criminal. So I think when it comes to Jango Fett, like, you just have to kind of think about, like, whose side he's on. He's pretty close with Dooku. And unfortunately, he's used as a puppet, just like everybody else, by Sidious when it comes to the plan to assassinate Padme. Like, there's just a lot going on, but I just think that was a pivotal moment too for fans to put together that, like, wow, this whole army that the good guys are going to be working with are clones of someone who's like a murderer. I I don't know what else to call it. So that was just kind of an interesting light bulb that went off for me when I rewatched the Attack of the Clones movie recently. And again, I'm sure some of these things, you guys, now that we're over halfway done, you're going to be like, yeah, duh. Like, we've seen those things, we've heard of those things, we've read these things. But the point of this episode, like I've said, is it's stuff that maybe we could take some more time to really think about. Like, there are some major moments in Star Wars, right? There are some things that you walk away and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened, when we discovered that Darth Vader was Luke's father. Duh, everybody knows that. Or that Anakin is Darth Vader. Duh, everyone knows that. Like, that's a pretty big moment. Or the Battle of Endor. Huge moment. The Death Star exploding twice. Huge. The reveal that Emperor Palpatine is a Sith Lord. Huge. But what I'm getting at is Star Wars is also full of these little nugget moments, for lack of better word that, like, you read or watch or see, and the first time maybe you don't see it, maybe you don't hear it, maybe it doesn't process, but then when it does click, that next time you see it, it's all you can see. You're like, how did I miss that? Like, that is actually insane, which is what's leading me into number 6. Number 6, Dooku sharing his knowledge of Sidious and that he believes there's going to be this plot with Obi-Wan, when he's got Obi-Wan held hostage on Geonosis, and Dooku's just like, hello, old friend, just so you know, wink, wink, I know something you don't know. It's actually kind of insane. He name drops Sidious. And Obi-Wan is basically just like, I don't believe you. Let me go. And Dooku's like, bro, you don't even understand what I have risked sharing this information with you, because later we know his fate. He gets killed. He knows who Palpatine is. He knows that Palpatine just told Anakin to kill him. But what's crazy is that Palpatine doesn't kill Dooku until 3 years later, after the Clone Wars. So I guess what made this moment significant to me was it's the same caliber of significance as the Siege of Mandalore, when Maul is like, Ahsoka, here's what's going on. I'm freaking out right now. Like, is this crazy? Tell me you think this is crazy. And Ahsoka's like, yeah, that is pretty crazy. So crazy that I'm willing to fight you. And Maul is like, are you crazy? Like, you don't even understand the significance of how bad this is. And so that's kind of the weight of the exchange here in Attack of the Clones between Dooku and Obi-Wan. And Dooku used to be a Jedi. He used to stand for the morally correct things until he started to see the corruption. We see that in Tales of the Jedi, his fall. It wasn't because he decided, oh, I'm sick of being the good guy, I want to be the bad guy. It's because he slowly started to see the moral corruption of the Jedi Order, right? So when this scene happens, he's putting it all out there. He's basically being like, bro, I'm smelling something fishy, and I could really use someone who I trust. I knew your master. I trained him. You know, I see you very much as someone I can trust with this information. Do with it what you must. So rewatching that scene is basically like Dooku's cry for help, and Obi-Wan is just like, you're crazy. This is all a trick. This is all a trap. And what is he supposed to do? Like, he's not going to throw himself at the mercy of the Jedi Council and beg them to help him overthrow Sidious. No, because he's been working with Sidious long enough to know this man's playing the long game. And so far, everything he's done has worked, and I need to stay in his good graces. So the risk that he is taking, even revealing that information to Obi-Wan, crazy. And the fact that Sidious doesn't catch on that he revealed all that to Obi-Wan, he keeps him alive for the next 3 years. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling about that, but pretty significant moment if you ask me. By the way, I am not meaning to just fly through this. I'm genuinely just so excited. Like, I wish you guys could see my notes. It's literally chicken scratches. Like, my brain was just going a million miles a minute once I got this episode idea. So anyways, let's move on to number 7. Number 7 is a two-parter. Qui-Gon's Force Ghost reaching out to Anakin during the Sand People massacre. Now, if you are watching this movie, maybe the first time, the second time, the third time, you kind of hear it, but you're also like, wait, who is that? Dog, that's Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn, trying to reach out to Anakin, telling him, you need to stop. No, don't do it. Don't do it. And this is the first kind of callback that we get from George Lucas about Force Ghosts. The last time that we even saw one was with Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, really, to Luke. And Luke is like, what the heck is going on? So it's not like a common thing. Qui-Gon is the first Force Ghost. He doesn't reveal himself. He just tries to reach out to Anakin. He's using all this energy, using as much Force power as he can to just send a message to Anakin, which, in my opinion, shows you how long he has been in Force Ghost form, keeping tabs on Anakin. Look how old he is. It's been 10 years, right? So I just think that shows you how good, and maybe this is going to be another episode, guaranteed, I'm sure, because I could say a bajillion things about it. But it just goes to show how if things would have been different and Qui-Gon could have been Anakin's master, so many things would not have happened. But the way that prophecies work, it had to happen. Qui-Gon had to die for Anakin to be the chosen one. So I just think that pivotal moment where you hear Qui-Gon just desperately trying to reach out to Anakin and tell him to stop what he's doing. He knows how bad this is. He used to be on the Jedi Council. He knows how bad it is. So, I don't know. When you think about the weight of that, even just those few words, those few sentences, very important. Connecting to that, because I said number 7 was a two-parter, the man's mom died in his arms. Okay? And let's let that sink in. You're a Jedi. You're taken away from your family, willingly given to the council to be trained. You have no memory of your mother, right? All the other Jedi that Anakin has interacted with have no memories of their mothers, no memories of their siblings, their fathers. Like, they don't have any family memories. They don't have those emotional ties that ground them to those people. Anakin does. So not only does he have memories of growing up with his mother, now he has a very intimate, devastating moment. He's forming a tragic memory with his mother dying in his arms. We all know this is bad, right? We all know it's bad. But when you think about it in those terms, who is he going to go home and talk to about that? Really? Who is he going to get back on his ship, fly to Coruscant, and talk about that with? He can't. No one else in that whole Jedi temple knows what it's like to even have a memory of their mother, let alone experiences and stories and dialogues and emotions and connections. Now he's gone so far as to even have this, her death, her final moments. it's just pretty significant. Like, when you think about it in that way, that is a pivotal moment in the fall of Anakin Skywalker's story, was that whole exchange. Qui-Gon trying to reach out to him and his efforts being in vain because of the emotional toll that has just taken, because he doesn't attack the Sand People until his mom dies like that. And that's when Qui-Gon is like, whoa, 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 this has gotten way out of hand. And he reaches out to try and stop him and calm him down. In vain, of course. Coming in at number 8, the Jedi Council asking Anakin to spy on the Chancellor. Pivotal! If you want to define a pivotal moment in a character's life, it is this. This was the nail in the coffin, because as soon as he runs over to Chancellor Palpatine and they're sitting in the space opera and they're watching the like bubble mermaid light show or whatever it is, and Palpatine's like, they asked you to spy on me, didn't they? Anakin's like, yeah, they did. It was terrible. And then they just start gossiping. And you have just lost him. Why would you pick Anakin for something like that? I get it. He's the closest. We should let him do this. No. I was reading. The assignment is considered unofficial in the sense that it wasn't discussed in a public session. Right? So that just made me think about, like, we don't know where this assignment even came from. Who did it come from? Was it Mace Windu's idea? Was it Yoda's idea? It definitely wasn't Obi-Wan's idea. Obi-Wan knows how unstable this man is and how emotionally connected and invested he can get with his friends. He's a loyal friend. So it made me think, like, maybe it wasn't discussed in a public session, not only because they didn't want it on the record for Chancellor Palpatine to get a hold of, but also maybe the whole council wasn't on board. Maybe they all thought this was a bad idea. But regardless, it did happen, and unfortunately, by the time they got smart enough to spy on Chancellor Palpatine because they were suspicious of him, it was too late. How long was it between that space opera little meeting and Order 66? Days? A day? It was too late. They were too far gone. And to follow up on that, Ahsoka, even in the Siege of Mandalore, when Obi-Wan is talking to her privately, and she's like, the Jedi Council has asked Anakin to spy on Chancellor Palpatine. And Ahsoka is like, I can't imagine he would be happy about this. Chancellor Palpatine has been a great friend and a mentor to Anakin. So even Ahsoka is like, bro, you do realize this is a terrible idea, right? You're going to give an emotional man a conflicting moral assignment and expect him to just do the job, keep his head down? Girl, let's use our brains for a second here. So rewatching that scene, even when Obi-Wan pulls Anakin aside, is like, Anakin, I have a assignment for you from the Jedi Council. And Anakin is like looking around. He's like, what? Like, what is it? And then when he tells him, he's outraged. Rightly so. So I would agree, missed moment in that movie especially. Number 9. I was privileged to go see Revenge of the Sith in the theaters for the anniversary this last year. And this scene almost brought me to tears. Seeing it on the big screen, hearing the massive speakers, the scene where Anakin and Padme are thinking about each other from across the horizon. He's in the Jedi Temple and she's in the Senate building. And the like ominous singing opera, like the music is like this low hum where it's almost building anticipation. Like we are entering the third act. Something really, really important is about to happen. And for me, that is considered a missed moment because we do not talk about it enough. They both start crying. The sun is setting. It is the end of an era. Because from that, he goes to Chancellor Palpatine's office, starts to put it all together, pledges his allegiance to him, and it's all over. Like, that one moment, I think that scene is only like 45 seconds or something like that. The whole time you are just on the edge of your seat. Every hair on your body is standing up. You are right there with them. Like, what is about to happen? I know whatever it is, it's going to be bad. So really taking a second to appreciate that scene for what it is, that they are thinking of each other, what he's about to do, the weight of what he's about to do is setting in to his subconscious. Like, it's just, I can't rave enough about that scene, because every time I watch it, especially since seeing it in the theaters, has just given me a whole new perspective of what that scene actually means. The symbolism, the cinematography, like I said, the music, the score, it's just perfect. It's just perfect. So when you rewatch Revenge of the Sith, just for me, please take a second and appreciate the work that went into that scene on the actors' parts, on the producers' parts, on John Williams' part. Like, incredible. We need to talk about that scene way more. Okay, to round this all out, I kind of like having 30-minute episodes. I don't know about you guys. If you do also, let me know. If you don't care, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Last miss moment. And this one kind of struck me. Like, I was kicking it around. I'm like, what is this moment going to be? And then it hit me. What is the final scene from Revenge of the Sith that has you just aching? You're just can't even believe what you just saw. It's Padme's funeral. At least it is for me. I love that scene even more having watched Tales of the Jedi. When you see, like, Ahsoka is there, the whole thing is in Clone Wars animation. Incredible. Bail Organa has a moment. But Padme's hair in that scene is a missed moment, because if you don't know, if you can't remember, in that scene, she's laying in the hover coffin and her hair is covered in these little tiny white flowers. And those are jasmine flowers. And for those of you who don't know, I looked it up just to be sure. Jasmine flowers often are associated with symbolism, with attachment and eternal love. That was not an accident. George Lucas didn't say run down to the store and get some white flowers. That was an intentional choice, the jasmine flowers. The symbolism of eternal love and attachment on her body at her funeral. She was killed in the name of love. Okay, let's not even get started on these wild and irresponsible fan theories that I have and carry with me on the daily. Coming in at number one, guaranteed, is the fact that Sidious killed Padme. He used her life force and gave it to Anakin, because there's no way Anakin could have survived that. Like, even when Sidious finds him on Mustafar, he's like, oh my, he's still alive. Hurry. If we hurry, we can save him. He knows how critical it is. So, and Padme, even the med droid is like, there's no reason to explain it. She's dying. Like, we literally do not know what's going on. Our only purpose for life as medical droids is keeping people alive, and we cannot explain why we can't keep her alive. So my theory, and that I've seen circulating, I will stand and die by it, is that Sidious transferred life force from Padme to keep Anakin alive. It was worth having Anakin live and Padme dying. Like, he was willing to let Padme die if it meant he could keep Anakin. Obviously. And he knew how vengeful and rageful it would cause Anakin to become, feeding his dark side powers with Padme dead. His only reason for living. The only other person who could rival that number one spot in his heart would be Padme, besides Sidious. So when that scene happens, there is just so much symbolism, down to the flowers they put in her hair. So I just, had to throw that out there. Next time you guys watch that scene, next time you rewatch Revenge of the Sith, just appreciating those moments. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, those are my top 10 prequel trilogy rewatch points that maybe, would make those movies something new to think about, something new to find. Because even though we watch these movies 100 times, there's always something, right? There's always something that we can be like, oh, I've never thought about it that way. I'm hoping that maybe this episode gave you something like that. If you like what I had to say, feel free to tell me. Like I said, leave a review or send an email to the tvjpod@gmail.com. Subscribe and tell a friend so that we can expand the Village Jedi community. And until next week, old friends, in the nerdiest way possible, may the Force be with you.